Welcome. This will be a chair yoga series focusing mainly on standing postures. Please gather up a sturdy chair with which to work with, a kitchen chair, a folding chair, something that is not too soft and ideally doesn't have arms. My chair does have arms, but they're sort of short. They only take up about half the seat. So it does allow me to work with this chair. Taking a moment to acknowledge the land that I am blessed to work, live, and play on. As the unceded territories of the Blackfoot people, I'm here in Strathmore, Alberta. I'd also like to acknowledge my teachers and the lineage of my teaching, the South Okanagan Yoga Academy, Marian Muggs McConnell. I'm currently studying with Dr. Ananda Bala Yogi Bhavanani, and there are others as well that I am so eternally grateful for to have blessed me with the wisdom that I get to share with you today. So let's begin by taking a comfortable seat and coming into awareness of our breath. I am a short person, so I find that in order for me to sit back comfortably in my chair, I need to add a little height under my feet. So I'm using yoga blocks. If you have the same issue at home, you could use blocks if you have them at hand, but books, folded blankets, magazines, that sort of thing are a good substitution. And then when I settle back into my seat, I want to remain in a tall, upright position, but it's really nice to really feel supported. And you can see that as I sit back into my chair, I sort of sink into my chair. And I want to avoid that sinking sensation because we want to have the pelvis be in a very neutral position. So I'm going to use a rolled blanket. You could use a rolled towel, a lumbar pillow, a throw pillow, and you could tuck that in behind your low back, then just sort of snuggle it in there. So it's about this level with my back, but you can play with a little higher, a little lower till you find the sweet spot. And you'll see here now, I can settle my back against the seat of my chair, but not end up slouching. I feel very supported. Rest with your hands down on your knees while we take a few moments to ground and settle. Your feet should be well grounded to the floor, your spine gently lengthening, the pelvis in a neutral position, so you could sort of tip and tuck the pelvis to find that tall or that neutral space in which you can extend a tall spine. Relaxing your shoulders and your face, begin to become aware of the flow of your breath. Have a sense of curiosity about how your breath moves, and simply observe it for a few moments. In several of the other videos in this series, we have been working with the three-part breath, the Dirga breath. And we move through the three parts of the lungs, inhaling lower, middle, and then upper. And then exhaling from the lower, the middle, and the upper. So let's continue to work with this breath. So placing your left hand at the center of your lungs. So that would be level with your breastbone. When we're seated, the firmness below our navel that allows us to stay upright will mean that it will not feel like we are belly breathing, but rather the lower part of our lungs will be here in the lower part of our rib cage, where the diaphragm is moving down into the abdomen and back up again. Inhaling, placing your hand on the lower lungs for the first third, breathing into the middle third, moving your hand up, breathing into the top third, and then exhale from the lower third, middle third, upper third. You can continue to follow your breath with your hands. Eventually, you'll be able to do this practice without following with the hands. But when we're first beginning, bringing this practice of following the breath with our hands can be very powerful in creating the mind-body connection. This pranayama aids to ensure that every part of our body is being well nourished by the oxygen. Each section of the lungs feeds a different section of the body. Improving our breath capacity improves our physical functions, and it also improves our mental and emotional functions, such as our ability to remember, to concentrate, and also aids us in emotional regulation. Being able to breathe with what we are feeling is a very powerful tool. At the end of an exhale, release your hands so their palms are down on your thighs, taking several natural breaths. Be curious, perhaps there's a section of your lungs that your natural, uncontrolled breath centers into. For our warm-up for this practice, we're going to come to standing. So just setting anything out of the way that you won't end up tripping over them, and come up to standing. I'm going to move my chair just out of the way here, but you could keep it close. You could even turn it around so the back of the chair is close to you, and you can use it for balance as you need. In fact, I'm going to do that. I turn my chair around so I have the back of the chair here. This is why we need the chair to be steady and sturdy, is so that it provides us balance, a safe place to balance as we need. Okay, so beginning with a little bit of a gentle shaking. So for a moment here, just sort of stand and become aware of the energy in your body. And then we'll begin to shake our hands. Now, the key here is not to move the hands, but rather to try to relax the fingers and the wrists and allow the hands to be shaken in a relaxed way. Now, if you have arthritis or other types of pain, it becomes essential that you only shake so hard as is appropriate for what is going on in your body. But this can really aid us to release different tensions from the joints. That also increases blood flow and lymph fluid movement. So take a moment, relax your hands down to your side, and just feel the sensation, a bit like a tingling in your hands. And then we'll move into the arms. So we're going to try to shake the arms out. So as my beautiful 10-year-old student says, the wiggle jiggle. So go ahead and wiggle jiggle your arms. Give them a good shake. Please be mindful to move in such a way as to not overdo your efforts and not underdo the effort as well. So take a moment, relax your arms down, and feel the tingling sensation that may be in your arms now. We'll move into shaking out the ankle. And again, we want to try to avoid just moving the ankle, but rather to relax the ankle and try and shake the foot. And you can use your chair to aid in your balance here. Your standing leg actually will become a bit of an issue if you're still building standing strength. So really focus on being strong and steady in your standing leg as you shake out the ankle. Now pause and just feel out one foot versus the other. And let's move onto the left foot. So give the left foot a bit of a shake. Again, trying to relax the ankle, moving mindfully. And then stand and observe the tingling sensation in the foot. Now we're going to try to shake out the whole right leg. And again, we want to make sure we're using the right kind of effort. So I'm trying to flop my leg, give it a good shake. Be mindful of the standing leg, that you don't get too tired. You can take breaks. And then come to stillness and notice the tingling sensation in the right leg. And then begin to shake out the left as you're ready. And then pause. Noticing the tingling sensation in your legs. Now we'll be mindful as we do this, mindful of any sense of dizziness as we start to shake out our whole body as best we can. You might even be able to wobble your head, but be mindful of any sense of becoming dizzy. And just give your body a good shake. Have a little bit of fun here, right? You could even turn up the music. My teacher would have us making all sorts of funny sounds as we do this as well, which helps us to release different kinds of tension. So you could make a sound as well. And then pause and come into some stillness and feel the tingling sensation through the whole body. Also notice if we've managed to release some tension from the body as well. Okay, so we'll begin our practice today with some gentle side bends. So we're going to remain standing and come into a posture to begin called Stanasana, or the mountain pose. It is our standing posture. So have a glance down, have a look at your feet, excuse me, and make sure that they're parallel. Oftentimes we'll stand with one foot slightly out, or both feet slightly out, or maybe in a little. So have a glance down and do your best to bring the feet so that they are parallel to one another at about hip distance. If you have a larger body or are struggling with your balance, feel free to step your feet into a wider stance where you might feel more steady. Wherever you are, begin to become aware of the four corners of your feet. And so I'll show you here what I mean by that. The four corners of the feet would be under the big toe, under the little toes, not the toes themselves, but in the big bones of the feet there, and then the inside and the outside of the heels. And do your best to balance your body weight into these four corners. Perhaps attempt to press the four corners of these feet down into the earth. And as you do that, you'll notice there's a lot of activity that comes into the lower legs, perhaps even up to the knees. Let your body weight shift a little back into the heels, but keep all 4 points to the ground. And imagine drawing the energy from the earth up the body, up the legs to the hips. Imagine that you had like a kangaroo tail and it was heavy, and you're just feeling the weight of this tail rooting down the backs of your legs and lengthening the spine. Imagining there's a string on the top of your head, lifting and lengthening you up. And take the time to roll the shoulders back and down. Please don't push the ribs forward in that motion. Keep the ribs drawing in gently. And feel this strong energy of this pose. The feet are grounded, the legs and hips are active, the spine is long, shoulders are dropping down the back in the same direction, down the backs of the legs, just like the tail is. To move into the side bend, this is the kind of energy we want in our body. We're going to inhale to raise the right arm up into the air. And some of you might struggle raising the arm into the air. So some options would be to keep the hands at the side and you'll move into the side bend without raising the arm. You could also place the hand on the shoulder or on the head. These are nice options. Okay, so please observe for a moment. We're going to move this arm up into the air or any of the arm variations. Make sure the ribs are drawing in and you have the strength in your body as you tip to the side. Okay, and we'll take several breaths there. So let's do this together. Inhale to raise the right arm into the air or use whatever variation of this that is appropriate for your arm. Make sure you still have that strong energy in your body. Your legs are rooted, grounding, energy lifting up. Inhale, begin to lengthen the right side of your body as you tip over to the left. Now this is a nice long line all the way from my outside of my ankles up to my fingertips. Please be aware that you're not rotating and you're not collapsing through the spine, and your neck is in a natural alignment with the rest of your spine. Inhale to come up, exhale to release. Inhaling to sweep the left arm up into the air, or any of the other arm variations. Before you begin to move into the side bend, make sure your feet are firmly grounded. Legs and hip energy is activated, spine is tall, ribs are over top the hips. And then inhale, lengthening the left side, the right arm will slide down. Take several breaths here. Side bends are awakening postures. They help to improve our breath capacity. And they can lengthen out the side body that we often are not aware of being tight. Inhaling to come back, exhaling to release the hands. Side bends. We'll move from here into the down dog. So the down dog, I'm going to use my chair here to show you a chair variation. This pose is known as Stanasana or Marusasana. It's a wonderful opportunity to stretch out the back of the hamstrings and to move into a good lengthening of the whole back. Now, please observe for a moment, and then we'll go through this posture together. I have my chair facing me here, and I'm going to be placing my hands on the chair seat. If your mobility is quite limited, this can be done from a countertop. It can also be done from the wall. My feet will remain hip distance and parallel to one another. My hands are going to come down onto the chair. I'm going to step back, bending my knees a fair bit so I can feel like my sit bones are widening, pressing firmly into the chair or even gripping the sides. We're going to send the hips back, bending the knees as much as you need to feel this long line coming from the wrists to the hips. Breathing here. Okay, so that will be the posture. So let's come into it together. So placing your hands either on a chair, on the counter, or on the wall. Step your feet back. And we want to come from this rounded position to a more flat back position. So bend your knees a fair bit. Make sure they're pointing the same direction as your feet. They're not falling out or in. Push the hips back as you keep the knees soft, hands planted, and feel the big stretch along the side of the body. And then as you slowly attempt, you do not need to straighten the legs, but you can sort of move the legs towards a more straightened position. You'll feel a big stretch. Breathing several breaths here. And then inhaling to come, stepping closer to the chair and rising up. Taking a moment here, you can shake your body out, feel the effects of the pose in your body, and then we will repeat one more time. So bringing your hands down to the chair, step the feet back. Your feet should be over top, or your hips should be over top your feet. The block so you can see my feet. Softening the knees, pushing the hips back, hands stay planted on the chair, the counter, or the wall, and try to feel this long line of energy along the side body. And then feel the stretch come into the backs of the legs as you gently push your legs towards straight. And inhaling to step the feet together again. Shaking it out. Give yourself a little bit of a shake here. Good. And we'll move into the next posture, which will be our back bend, which is a really nice counter pose to the efforts of the forward bending of the Stanasana, the down dog. So this is a standing version of the cobra pose. And I'm going to give you 3 variations again, so you can choose what is most appropriate. From the chair, this can be quite a strong posture from the chair seat. So where we come into is we step the feet back, and you'll see my heels are lifted. Now we have to have a fair bit of core stability to come into this particular variation. So I'm coming into this like strong plank position, and I'm just gently moving into a back bend. What I'm not doing is sinking the hips and crunching into my low back. I'm using the front body to help me come into this. So this, because of the weight of my arms, takes a fair bit of upper body strength as well as core stability. So if you're still building that and that feels like it might be a little too much, the variation would be to turn the chair around or to use a countertop so your hands are up higher. And now my heels are not lifted. And I'm going to gently do the same thing. So there's much less weight bearing on the arms. Now don't let your head drop back into hyperextension, but feel how the front body is getting longer. The backs of your legs will help you. And breathing here for several breaths. You can also do this variation with your hands against the wall. So choosing your preferred variation, and you can try each of them. And also as your strength increases, you can increase the amount of strength within the pose through these variations. So I'm going to do here with my hands on the back of my chair. My feet are grounded. Please don't lock your knees. Your knees have a gentle softening. You come into what is like a stronger plank-like position. And then with an in-breath, you want to feel the backs of your legs and your glutes active, not clenching. Begin to lengthen the front body. So we're moving into a gentle back bend, but the back bend should be felt through the entirety of the spine, like the whole spine has effort. It's not just dumping into the low back. Taking several breaths here. And then exhale to release. Now that down dog position will feel very nice after that cobra. So you can come into this position briefly. And then we'll repeat the cobra, Bhujangasana, it's called in Sanskrit, again. So coming into this plank type position, inhaling to lengthen the front side of the body. Keep the belly zipping up, the backs of the legs active, breathing here. And then exhaling to come back again into the counter pose of the down dog. Taking several breaths here. Inhaling to come and step the feet together. And we'll move into our balance pose. So you could keep the back of the chair to you here, so you have a point to touch. You could also use the wall, your hand on the wall, or you could put your back to the wall for this pose as we move into the Vrikshasana, the tree pose. So we want to start from a strong Tadasana position. So take the time to ground into your feet and feel the energy of standing with intention. We're going to stand onto our right leg first. So when you shift your weight over into your right leg, one of the things that I watch for, and you can be aware of, is if you sink into your standing hip. So sometimes that happens because we're locking the knee, but a lot of the time it's because we're sinking and the leg, the upper thigh bone is sitting heavily into the hip socket. So one thing that we can do that will actually aid in lots of different types of movements, including walking, is to be very strong in our standing leg. So when you shift your weight over into your standing leg, you're not sinking into the hip. There's actually a fair bit of work to attempt to keep you upright. Lifting the left heel, you'll turn the left knee out, and we can do this together. You can narrow your stance so your left heel is resting against your right ankle, or you could increase the challenge and come all the way onto one foot. Now, your hand can be here in like a half prayer position with your other hand on the chair. And you can attempt to bring the hands together. You can just go back and forth. Balance poses are great for improving physical balance, but it also helps us to have mental and emotional balance as well. It's okay if our physical balance isn't good today. It changes from day to day. We can work on our mental and emotional balance, maintaining that balance as maybe we are going in and out of physical balance. You can raise your arms overhead. Palms can stay together as you start to take the hands overhead, reaching upwards. This is an option. And you can take the arms out wide. This is also an option. Steady your breath. Drop your gaze to a single point on the floor somewhere out in front of you. And then try to come out with as much control as you practice going into. And then you can shake that out. If we're doing that right, you're going to feel a lot of effort from the standing legs. Your standing leg should have a bit of tiredness to it. And we'll move into the left leg now. Standing on the left leg, shifting the weight over there, but not shifting the body in space, trying to stay tall, upright, pressing down through that leg, keeping space in the hips. You lift the the right heel now and turn the knee out. And then you could keep a wider stance. This might be enough to challenge your balance. You could narrow the stance, bringing your heel to rest against your ankle, or you could come into a single leg stance. Hand can be here at the half prayer position, and you can practice bringing the other hand to meet it. Breathing steadily here. Keep focusing on strength in your standing leg. Inhaling to raise the arms up overhead, if you like, and opening them wide like the crown of a tree. Try to embody the energy of a tree. Grounded, rooted, able to go with the natural seasons of its life, never resisting the cycles of nature. Slowly bringing the hands back together, back down, and releasing the leg. Give yourself a good shake out. And after that, it's going to feel really, really nice to move into a wide-legged forward bend. So I'm going to turn my chair around to face me again. So the seat is facing me. Now, I'm going to work from this position here, from the side. So you can have a look at my back. So you're going to step your feet out wide. And I'm pretty wide. right? Like this is pretty wide, about a leg length. If you're working from a really narrow, like sort of a narrower wide stance, you won't get quite the same amount of stretch in the back of the leg and the hips. And so just explore stepping the feet out into different widths and see how it feels, but be brave in the width that you take. My toes are pointing forward, not out. So they're pointing forward. So my leg bones remain sort of gently internally rotated, okay? Now, you can soften the knees, but we do want to try to work with a nice straight leg, okay? I'm gonna fold forward, and my hips are gonna hinge first. So see if you can feel that for yourself. As you hinge the hips forward, go ahead and take your hands down onto the chair seat. We can do this together. So here, my hands are up high, my arms are straight. I'm not locking my knees, I'm keeping a gentle softness in my knees. My back is flat. Now, as the backs of your legs start to warm and open, you might find that you can lower down so that it is your elbows. This might take a few seconds, it might take a few years to start to open up in this way. Now, eventually, you might even be able to drop your hands down to the floor and rest your head on your chair. This is really nice. You could put a blanket under your head so that it's not so hard. And just for a few moments here, enjoy the sensation wherever you are of your hips being slightly higher than your heart. Being upside down is such a nourishing action for the body and not something that we do very often in our regular day-to-day life. It improves cardiovascular function. It improves blood flow into the brain and the face. It also aids in endocrine function. So the whole endocrine functions of the body are influenced by inversions. To come back up, you could soften your knees a little more. If you feel like your stance is a little wide, you could heel toe your feet in just a little closer. Bring your hands up. Make sure you slow down your rising up if you have low blood pressure. Inhaling up slowly, stepping the feet together, and taking a moment to just stand and notice the sensation as you come out of the posture. Let's now come to a seated position. So adjust your chair so that you are able to view your camera or your video and come into a seated position. The last posture that we'll do together is a seated twist. Now, there's a few different ways to go about doing this. You could sit with your feet grounded. I've got my sit bones near the edge of my seat. My feet are grounded. I've got my pelvis in this neutral position and I'm lengthening upwards. The other way you could do it is to sit sideways. Okay. I like this one particularly, but here, because of the makeup of my chair, my feet don't become very grounded. So I'm just going to use my blocks to bring the ground up for my feet here. Now, one sit bone is a little off, the other sit bone is on. Okay, so you can do this from facing forward in your chair as well. Sitting tall, begin to turn your belly towards the left. And your right hand will come across, it'll either rest on your knee or it could come and take a hold of the chair. And the left hand can take a hold of the back of the chair. Okay. Breathing in this space, you could bring your gaze all the way around if that's appropriate for your neck, or you could keep your gaze in the same direction as your chest. Don't strain. With each in-breath, lengthen the spine upwards in space, as if there's a string on the crown of your head. And on the out-breath, you can move into whatever space you find is there for you. Feel how your breath impacts the posture. The abdomen has this thoracic sort of pressure. And as we're breathing in this, you may feel how the pressure is influencing the posture. Now releasing the gaze, beginning with an in-breath and finishing with an out-breath. We'll turn and face in the other direction, or just twisting in the other direction. I'll show you what it looks like to twist in the other direction from sitting forward in your seat. So because I am no longer in need of these, I can have my feet to the ground and my sit bones are here on the ground. So sitting tall and beginning to twist. So you're taking the left hand across, now the right hand behind you. Lengthening the spine with your in-breath, moving into the twist with your out-breath. Find the right amount of effort. We always like to use the Goldilocks analogy, where not too much effort, not too little effort, but the just right amount of effort. Where the breath is steady, the body can be relaxed, and the mind can stay present. Inhale to release the gaze. Exhale to release the rest of the twist, swinging back around so you're facing forward in your chair. And we'll balance out the spine by leaning forward, bringing your elbows to your knees. Or if possible, you could even drop your hands towards your feet or your ankles and let yourself enjoy another opportunity to be upside down and lengthening the back, bringing symmetry back along the length of the spine. To come back up, bring your hands to your knees. Inhale, sweeping the gaze forward, rising back up. So now we'll come into a brief relaxation to integrate all of these postures. I invite you to, if you're comfortable to come and lay down. You can lay down on the couch, on your bed, on the floor is excellent. And the other option is to settle yourself comfortably into your seat, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to use my height under my feet so that my feet can be comfortably grounded, a little bit of support under my or behind my back, so I can lean back into my chair and be supported by my chair, but also be in as neutral a spine as possible. And making yourself comfy, warm, and safe. As you do get settled, find the flow of your breath and begin to relax your body. Relaxing your face and shoulders. Relaxing your belly and your hips. Bring your mind all the way down to your toes. Closing your eyes if you're comfortable, so you can really feel your toes in space. And imagine that your toes were tingling with life force. So you're going to try to imagine your big toes tingling. And feel the tingle come into the rest of your toes. And then the tingle will be coming into your feet. Feel the tingle in your ankles. And imagine the tingle in your lower legs, calves, shins. Sense the tingle in your knees. And the tingle in your thighs. Both legs now tingling. Bring your mind to the base of your tailbone. there in between your buttocks. And imagine the tingle concentrating there at the base of your spine. And imagine the tingle beginning to spread upwards along the spine until the whole spine is tingling with this life force energy. And then feel that tingle spread out into the torso, the belly, the chest, all the organs. Tingling. Bring your awareness down into your fingers. And imagine your fingers beginning to tingle. And the tingle spreading into your hands, your wrists, your lower arms, elbows, upper arms. And the tingle spreading into the shoulders, where the arm tingling now merges with the body tingle. Sense the tingle in your throat and your neck. Feel the tingle in your jaw, your cheeks, around your eyes themselves. Feel the tingle around your ears, at the crown of your head. The tingle at the forehead. Feel your whole body tingling. Relax deeply. Stay here as long as you wish. And when you're ready to come back, deepen your breathing, bringing your awareness back fully into your body and your senses. Take your time to come out of your relaxation. I thank you for joining me today. Namaste.